Oh, that's good there, Fury. Massive run. Maybe just throws it a bit tighter, but it still lands. There from Wilder. Good left hook as well from Wilder.
Oh, it's gone down. He's gone down. He's gone down.
Hey, it's Top Boxing News.
D'ailleurs, peut-être un peu plus chez Viviane.
Et là, moi, il va se
People are realizing how up the creek without a paddle these recent developments have left Deontay Wilder. I don't think people have really taken the time to just step back, look at the situation for what it is, and calculate just how bad this is for Deontay Wilder.
It's bad.
You know, Tyson Fury was really his only out, his only play, his only card to garner some kind of marquee value independent of an Anthony Joshua fight. He had mild success with Tyson Fury in the pay-per-view, and I mean mild. You know, they were lucky that they didn't lose any money. They really were, because today's pay-per-view market is nobody's best friend.
Really isn't.
But now that you don't really have him as a dance partner, and rest assured, he really doesn't. The odds of a Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder rematch coming off under these circumstances are slim to nil. Do realize, ladies and gentlemen, if the priority for Tyson Fury and for Frank Warren, if the priority for those guys were fighting Deontay Wilder yet again, then they would have never climbed in bed with Top Rank and ESPN in the first place. Because that's only going to make things that much harder to do. That's only going to make negotiations that much harder in the process. Okay? Your guy is officially a Top Rank / ESPN fighter as far as the United States are concerned. Thus, the bigwigs at Top Rank, the bigwigs at ESPN, they're not going to take too kindly to your fighter fighting somewhere else. They're going to want that fight to be on ESPN, and they're going to want Top Rank to be at the helm of promotions. In that way, that's where the obstacles lie. That's where the challenges now are, where they weren't there before. Before, you could have fought him anywhere because you didn't have any ties to any American networks. But now you do.
That changes things.
In which case, if it really were your priority to fight Deontay Wilder again, you would have never climbed in bed with those guys in the first place. Now, what this means is that the synergy that Deontay Wilder was benefiting from the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, leading up to the Tyson Fury fight, that means that synergy has all but dissipated. That is no longer your dance partner. In all likelihood, you're probably going to be fighting Dominic Breazeale or some other PBC fighter, because we're fully aware that the PBC does not want to work with anybody, Bob Arum least of all. And the last thing they want to see is their prize stallion at heavyweight end up fighting on some other network in an event helmed by some other promoter, namely Top Rank. Yet that's the obstacle that lies before him in lieu of these recent developments.
Pretty much.
You know that Frank Warren said in plain fucking English that now that they've got this relationship with Top Rank, if Anthony Joshua wants to fight Tyson Fury, he's gonna have to do it on ESPN. That's saying that where from Frank Warren and Tyson Fury are sitting, if anybody out there wants a piece of that action, they're proposing that they have to cross networks, that it has to be on ESPN. And that's an obstacle that really wasn't there before. You know, it's bad enough that Queensberry Promotions, which is Frank Warren's promotional company, and Matchroom, which is Eddie Hearn's promotional company, it's bad enough that those guys have got the tiff that they've got between each other. But now that tiff has crossed the Atlantic Ocean and it's manifesting here in America. But that tiff doesn't just affect them. It also affects the PBC. It also affects Deontay Wilder. Because ahead of the first fight, that wasn't an issue.
Fury was free to roam in the States.
Now it is. So believe me when I tell you that the people over there at the PBC and the networks that they're in bed with, they don't want to see Deontay Wilder fighting on ESPN any more than the people at ESPN are going to want to see Tyson Fury fighting on Showtime or Fox. None of them want that. And in that way, you can interpret this move as Tyson Fury and Frank Warren deprioritizing a Wilder rematch so that they can make even more money fighting on ESPN for Top Rank. Now, there are some people out there that are still holding out hope that the fight will come off between Wilder and Fury, that this is merely a power play, a power move on the part of Tyson Fury and Frank Warren.
For leverage.
Because now that they're with Top Rank, and now that they're with ESPN, they've got a bit more leverage. They're fighting on a bigger platform, a bigger network. Thus, if the fight were to go to a purse bid, they would have a better chance of winning that bid, thus being at the helm of promotions. There are those people, or that perhaps some kind of cross-promotional, cross-network situation, some kind of a situation like that, similar to what we saw with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, that perhaps a situation like that can be reached. But let me remind you that Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury is nowhere near the size and the scale of a fight that Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather was. So, I mean, a situation like that, yeah, it's possible. It's just not very likely. And at its base, it's a common sense argument. If your priority were fighting Deontay Wilder yet again, you don't go climbing into bed with Top Rank before you reach a deal with those guys. Do realize something, ladies and gentlemen. The WBC ordered count them, two purse bids, all of which were postponed. And while those purse bids were postponed, undoubtedly, Top Rank, Queensberry Promotions, MTK Global, while all of that was going on, they were ironing out this deal. I mean, it's not a hard deduction to make that maybe the reason that those purse bids kept getting postponed was because Team Fury deprioritized the Wilder rematch to shift their focus over to this and making sure that this deal actually came off. You understand? Now hypothesize that the bigwigs over there at the PBC and Team Wilder, they're not going to be crazy about a purse bid situation to begin with, because they don't want to jeopardize their prize stallion in the heavyweight division ending up on some other network in some event for another promoter. They don't want that to happen. So they may circumvent that situation altogether.
They better.
That before we risk Deontay ending up on ESPN in a Top Rank event, we're going to find a way out of that fucking shit. That's what we're going to do.
Unify.
And that's all on the premise that Tyson Fury still wants that fight. We don't know that he does. If Tyson Fury and Frank Warren decide to go another way and fight someone else in May, that effectively exonerates Deontay Wilder as the WBC champion from having to fight him, because you can't hold it against Wilder if Tyson Fury decides to fight someone else. So the WBC likely wouldn't strip him in that situation. There are different scenarios out there, but the main focus here, and what I really want to shed light on, is this does leave Deontay Wilder up the creek without a paddle. His best bet to continue to garner some kind of marquee value, even if it's just residual value, even if it's just, you know, guys talking about him a little more than they normally would, any chance that he had of that has been dashed. Remember what this is all about. This is all about trying to gain some kind of leverage to get more from an Anthony Joshua fight. That's basically what it's all about. And his best bet to do that was to combine his marquee value with Tyson Fury's marquee value so that they can be in a bigger event with each other than they could separately, independent of Anthony Joshua, in which case you don't have him as a dance partner anymore. So what are you gonna do now? I think it's becoming painfully obvious to Deontay Wilder, to Shelly Finkel, and all the people that are on his side of the street, all the members of his team. I think it's becoming painfully obvious that after that Anthony Joshua and Jarrell Miller fight is over, they need to hurry up and fight Anthony Joshua, assuming he's even the champion afterwards. But they need to hurry up and make that fight because they're running out of options. You can sit there on your side of the street and continually fight in-house fights. You can fight a Dominic Breazeale or a Adam Kownacki, but every time you do, there's a chance that you could lose. There's a chance that Father Time might catch up with you. There's a chance that some punch might get through that you didn't see coming and it puts you on your ass. There's always a chance. You've got to pay attention to what you're gambling here. The longer you hold out, the less it favors Team Wilder, and that's the reality of it. So assuming that Anthony Joshua beats Jarrell Miller in Madison Square Garden, it behooves Deontay Wilder and it behooves his team to do whatever they've got to do to have that fight. Because as far as a Tyson Fury fight is concerned, that would involve you guys dealing with Top Rank. And we all know how much the PBC loves dealing with Top Rank, right? Bottom line, Wilder's list of options has just gotten even thinner. Now, along with all the other talking points, there are some scenarios that need to be addressed here. For example, is the WBC still going to follow up with another purse bid? Are they still going to try to hit the gas to make this fight between Wilder and Fury a reality? Or will they stay a purse bid,
Call it off,
as a favor to Deontay Wilder because they see what kind of difficulties could arise
from the bid
if they order a purse bid? Let's put it this way. For Team Wilder and the people over there at the PBC, they don't want this thing to have to go to a purse bid. They don't. It doesn't benefit them if it does. It puts them in a situation to where your fighter might be stripped of his world title for not fighting this guy. So in order for him to keep that title, he's got to go through the motions. He's got to go along with what's going on. In which case, if it goes to a purse bid, there's a chance that Fury might win the bid, Top Rank might helm the event, and Wilder would have to thereby fight on ESPN as a result. The people at the PBC, Showtime, and Fox, they don't want that.
Hell no.
In which case, what the WBC might do to help their champion is not order the purse bid at all and just leave it in the air. That way, he's not obligated to fight Tyson Fury, thus he won't face any penalties if the fight doesn't come off. That's one scenario that maybe the WBC takes stock of what's happening here, what the potential consequences are, and they say, you know what, we're not going to order that purse bid. We're not going to order that fight. I mean, they've postponed the bid twice already. And that won't be the first time that they ordered a fight and it didn't come off. You understand?
It's happened before.
Remember, a while ago, they ordered Mikey Garcia to fight Jorge Linares, who was the WBC Diamond Champion, and Mikey held the full version of their title. He still holds the full version of their title. And the WBC ordered that fight between those two guys, but the fight never came off due to cross-promotional issues.
Couldn't reach a deal.
Now, Mikey didn't get stripped of his world title for the fight not coming off in spite of the fact that the WBC ordered that fight, but he didn't get stripped. So I see a potential situation like that here, that maybe what the WBC does is they look at this thing and they say, you know, we really don't want to have to strip Deontay Wilder for this Tyson Fury fight not happening.
We don't do that.
Because we know what kind of issues are involved. We would rather that he continue to hold our title. So what we're going to do is we're going to just call off the bid altogether and we're going to order him Dominic Breazeale instead. Because Dominic Breazeale is the guy
We named the mandatory.
who we named as his mandatory challenger. Maybe that's the way that it works out, because I'll tell you, if the WBC decides to hit the gas on this thing, if they do decide to go ahead and order another purse bid, they're putting Deontay Wilder and the PBC, they would be putting them in a very compromising situation. Now, if by some chance the WBC were to go ahead and push for a third purse bid, if they were to do that, and Tyson Fury and Frank Warren actually did want to go ahead and have a Wilder rematch, that could be a compromising situation for Deontay Wilder,
His team.
and Showtime. I mean, you got to think about it. In a purse bid situation, who does that favor? ESPN is the bigger network with the bigger means and the bigger resources. Thus, there's a chance, good chance, that if it went to a purse bid, they flex the necessary muscle to make sure that they get that fight. Now, bear in mind that that is all on the premise that Tyson Fury and Frank Warren actually want that fight to be next. But you know, I'm not quite sure that that's what they want. If you want my take on it, if you want my opinion on it, the move itself indicates that Tyson Fury and Frank Warren have deprioritized Deontay Wilder. That's what the move indicates. And those things in mind, I'm not even sure that they want that fight to be next. They see what's before them right now, the opportunities they have being involved with such a big network here stateside. And I'm not completely sure that Deontay Wilder is the focal point of their next move, because if he was, they would have never got in bed with Top Rank and ESPN to begin with. Now, there's another scenario to be addressed here. I'm not quite sure how likely it is, you understand. Given how everything's been happening, how things have been falling into place, and how Team Fury has been moving, I'm not quite sure how likely, I should say, this scenario is. But it is possible. At minimum, we have to entertain the possibility that maybe Team Fury want the fight, and Team Wilder certainly want the fight, and the only real issue is, okay, where's the fight going to be? Well, ESPN's a bigger network than Showtime. They can flex more muscle. So maybe the fight comes off, but it's on ESPN, and it's just Showtime that ends up getting the shaft. It's just Showtime that ends up getting cut out of the deal. Now, Showtime's got a long-standing relationship with the PBC, so it'd be, you know, kind of fucked up for them, but if you're Team Wilder, and this is, you know, the biggest fight that you could be involved in short of an Anthony Joshua fight, you might feel like you've got to do what you've got to do to be involved in that fight. You know that ESPN is a bigger network than Showtime, and it reaches more homes. They've got more means, more resources. Maybe if ESPN has the fight, maybe if Top Rank is at the helm of promotions, maybe it could be a bigger fight. Maybe. But at minimum, if both sides of the spectrum want the fight, that is an alternative. That is a possibility. Having the fight, just not involving Showtime. I'll tell you that this fight is not the scale, not the size, not the magnitude of Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. You know, it's not that kind of a fight. It's not that big of a fight to where a cross-promotional, cross-network kind of deal is very likely. It's not very likely, although it is possible. That is yet another scenario that maybe all the fingers end up in the pie. But I reiterate, there's just not enough money there
For that.
to where you could justify that. You know, we saw what the first fight did. They said it's scheduled to max out at 325,000 buys in the coming 3 months. That was back in December, okay? That is not an astronomical amount of buys. That is not so many buys to where you can get these networks to come to an agreement.
Doesn't look like it.
I mean, it just doesn't seem very likely is all. It's possible. Theoretically, it is possible. It just doesn't seem very likely. And I reiterate, given the move that Team Fury has made, you can make the deduction that they don't view the Deontay Wilder fight as being all that important when you're being offered $80 million for this deal. That's not even counting whatever he stands to make from BT Sport and the UK promotional rights. So Tyson Fury is very much cleaning up. And from where Tyson Fury is sitting, he may be thinking to himself that I've already benefited from fighting Deontay Wilder. I already defied the odds just by making it to a decision. There are people out there that already feel that I won that fight. So is a rematch really even necessary for me from where I'm sitting, given that ESPN is willing to give me all this money to fight at minimum 2 times in the United States
Per year.
I'll tell you the truth that this deal, it really shakes shit up. It really does. Right now, we don't know where the Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury rematch, we don't really know where that is.
We don't.
But what we do know is that Deontay Wilder's a PBC fighter, and now Tyson Fury is a top-rank fighter. And we know that PBC and Top Rank have their relationship and that dynamic, and we've known about it for some time. So ask yourselves, how likely do you think the rematch is to come off? How much do you believe that these guys are going to fight? If, are they going to fight next? Are they going to fight at all? At this point, that's one hell of a question. Another question I've got is Tyson Fury still even an appealing option for Deontay Wilder now that he's in bed with Top Rank and ESPN? Is that still an appealing option the way it was before? Because things have changed now, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
These network things weren't an issue before in regards to Tyson Fury, and that's a part of what made him an appealing option. But that's changed. So hypothesize, if Team Wilder is even entertaining the possibility of fighting on ESPN, the question then becomes, if you're willing to entertain that, then why wouldn't you be willing to entertain fighting Anthony Joshua on DAZN? That's a bigger fight. There's more money involved. There's more belts involved. I mean, we're really getting out there in terms of hypothesizing and speculating. But you think about it. If these guys are willing to entertain the notion that the rematch wouldn't be on Showtime, if that's a possibility, then why wouldn't Anthony Joshua and fighting him on DAZN be a possibility? I know there was a big hubbub about that shit a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, what have you. But if you guys are at the point that you're entertaining fighting Tyson Fury on ESPN, then why wouldn't you be entertaining fighting Anthony Joshua on DAZN? He's offering you 40%, and I gather that 40% of a Joshua fight is far more than 50% of a Tyson Fury fight. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you before, the market is very competitive right now, and in a lot of ways, Deontay Wilder and this plan that they had to try to circumvent the marquee value of Anthony Joshua by leaguing up with Tyson Fury, this whole plan does seem to have backfired.